Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Tuesday, the 23rd of January. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How are we doing, Chris? Good weekend?
Not too bad, not too bad. It was an interesting night down at Dumbarton on Saturday. Not the most salubrious of surroundings for a night. We had some connection issues with some techie issues down there, but no, Rangers got the job done, got themselves through to the next round. So any weekend there's a Rangers win is always a good one.
Yeah, hopefully you've dried out. It looked torrential and biblical over there.
Just about.
Right, well, of course, we've got another game to look forward to tomorrow night. Cannot wait for that as Rangers get back to Premiership action. Before we talk all things Rangers, folks, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors. You can see on the screen if you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, or indeed Instagram, where we are now live. The MPH Group, if you're looking for home improvements or even a new boiler. I think I need a new boiler. Mine is making some racket. Hopefully you can't hear that in the background. Then these are the guys to call. The all-important links are in the description below. And as well as that, you also get entered into that prize draw for the 7-night stay at a 5-star resort in Cancun in Mexico. Right, let's start with Mohamed Diomande, Chris, because he's nearing a move to Rangers from FC Nordsjælland over in Denmark, 22 years of age, Ivory Coast, under 23 international. Reports over there in Denmark suggest that Rangers will be paying Nordsjælland £4.5 million for him, for the midfielder. Seems quite a high amount, I've got to say. He is entering the final months of his contract. Nordsjælland have turned down offers before for him, and he's opted to stay and run down his contract. I think Rangers have... I think it's going to be a very smart addition. It seems a bit high in terms of the fee, right enough, if he is running down his contract.
It does seem slightly on the high side. I've asked a couple of people at Rangers this morning to see if they can confirm this or deny it and give us a bit of clarity on the fee. So if my phone goes over the next half an hour or so, I'll certainly give you a shout. But in fact, there is, as I speak, bringing breaking news to you. Can't confirm. It will be a long-term contract. It will be a long-term contract, as we said yesterday. I had the story yesterday afternoon about how Storm Isha had denied him he's tipped to Rangers. Unfortunately, that's put a small spanner in the works. But considering some of the videos and pictures that we've seen of aeroplanes trying to land, I think it's probably for the best he didn't make that particular journey on Monday. So it's really just the medical to be completed now. But in terms of the fee, that is in the right ballpark.
Yeah. Listen, he's a highly rated midfielder. According to his coach, he's one of the best in Denmark. I'd urge you to check out this video last night, folks. And William Bunn says, enjoyed the interview last night, Derek. We had Casper De Lind, who runs a podcast covering FC Nordsjælland. He gave us some brilliant insight into Mohamed. So that is on the YouTube channel to go and check out. Also on Facebook as well, folks. Had a bit of a laugh with Casper as well. He referred to Rangers as Celtic at one point. He's getting some grief on social media, but yeah, he was a top lad, and that was a brilliant insight into him. Certainly not, I would say, a priority position for Rangers in this window, Chris, but you're always looking to strengthen all areas of the pitch. It certainly looks like you can add something extra, especially to that Rangers midfield. Seems pretty versatile, left-footed as well. There's a great piece on the website this morning as well, folks. Joshua has looked more in detail at him. He will fit over in that left-hand side of the Rangers midfield. Are you quite excited at seeing him in the Rangers jersey, Chris?
As you said, Derek, it's not a position I thought Rangers would be really keen to strengthen in this window. Certainly not at that level of fee. I thought that may be something that the manager would look at come the summer, but you do wonder if the opportunity has come up and it's just one that's too good to turn down for Rangers. They see a lot of potential in Diomande at 22, good profile, got a number of games behind him, which I think is really important. That Rangers have to be signing players that are established. It's not just a case of, well, he's 22. You look at Ross McCausland, of a similar age, doesn't have a lot of first team football behind them. Rangers need guys who have played a lot of football, need guys who are established, who are battle hardened, if you like. So I think it's perhaps one that has just come up. Rangers thought need to go and make the move. I was actually just reading through Josh's excellent piece before we came on this morning, and he sounded like a really, really promising bit of business. Now, until he's here and he gets settled into the team and he gets up and running in Scottish football, it's obviously hard because we've seen players with big reputations before. But I think he's got a really exciting profile, a really interesting backstory in terms of coming through the Right to Dream Academy. It's produced a number of players over the years, so I think there's definitely a lot there for the fans to be excited about and be enthused about. At that level of transfer fee, it's a real statement of intent from Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely. There has been clubs that have looked to prize him away from Northland before. Incidentally, Casper told me if he was fully in contract, then they'd be looking for upwards of €8 million for him. So, it seems that that's a decent acquisition. I think if Rangers manage to get it, well, they will get it over the line. Sam McCrossan says, when do you think Diomande will be announced? As you mentioned, Chris, slightly delayed by the storm. Hopefully it's easing somewhat, and then he will get announced. It won't be. Do you think it might be announced before Hibs tomorrow, or is it? I mean, sometime this week. We're just waiting for that to, like you say, the medical to take place, and then they'll be holding aloft the scarf somewhere.
I think I'd be surprised if it's today. So they just still have the medical to go through, and you've then also got the final stages of all the things that clubs look to do to get these deals and out. His club media interviews to do, the scarf picture to do as well. So it's not a case of if it's not done today, people need to start worrying. Everything's in place, deals all in place. Once the medical's sorted, then that's us good to go. So it will be over the next couple of days. As I said, that the storm issues put a slight delay on it, but it's nothing to worry about. He will sign a long-term contract at Rangers. Also, on the contract, it's interesting that people saying he's in the last months. I believe he's actually contracted for another couple of years over in Denmark. So that seems to. So it's not a case of Rangers spending a lot of money on a guy who has only got 6 months or so left. He does have a bit longer left over in Denmark. So I think that maybe gives an indication of why that fee is as high. And as I say, a real signal of intent from Rangers to go and spend that money on an area of the pitch that we didn't expect it to be spent on. So having got Silva in, now on the brink of getting Diomande in, it's all on who's next. I think that was one of the.
Yes.
Actually made me laugh yesterday as soon as we put out the story saying there's been a slight delay here and giving people an update. All the Twitter comments were, who's next? What about him? What about him? What about him? And it's just that urge from fans. There always has to be something else on the go. There always has to be a next one coming in. I think the fans should just be encouraged by the business that's been done so far. And as we said on the channel last week, we're still early-ish in the window at that stage. I think we're only about halfway through it. There's a couple of days on now. Next one's coming in, and it'll be interesting to see what Rangers now do over the next week or so. I think there is still areas of the squad that I'm sure we would both like to see another player coming in.
Yeah, lots of comments coming in here with regards to the fee. Uncle Dave says he's a year left on his deal with the option of a further year. The fee is right, he says. Stephen Gillespie with the point says that's huge money. That kind of investment, if true, needs to be going to a goal scorer, in his opinion. And there's a point as well, some people not too happy with Rangers spending that amount on a midfielder. Damien Jarrett says $4.5 million plus add-ons for Diomande when we need a striker, not a midfielder. He says shambles there. So he's not best pleased at all about that. Listen, I think Rangers are enhancing the squad. We still all know where the position that Rangers still need to strengthen in. I think they cannot go into the final months of the season with Cyril Dessers as the only out-and-out striker going forward. I know Fabio Silva's been brought in. If he can get 10 goals, Fabio Silva, then I think we're doing well there. Don't expect him to be turn into prime Chris Boyd and start banging them in left, right, and centre. Still some days left, of course, in the transfer window. Just over a week to go, of course, Chris. What's your gut feeling on that front? I've said before, I think Rangers need 2 forward players minimum for the final few months of the campaign. A lot will depend on who is available, who they can bring in, and what sort of fees these players will command. Do you think Rangers will still look to do business?
Only Rangers could spend £4.5 million on a highly rated midfielder and it would be described as a shambles.
Yeah.
I think it's been one of those transfer windows that people are getting a wee bit. People seem to get a bit catchy and a bit hyped up over this. As we said last week, get to the end of the window, and I think we can then discuss the merits of it, and we can determine whether it's been a success or not. I think it's safe to say Rangers will end the window in a stronger position than they entered it, which for every transfer period is the main ambition. I think the 2 signings that are in, or one that's in and one that's certainly going to come, I think they're good bits of business for Rangers. But get to the early February, and then we can sit down and get a proper look at the squad and decide whether it's been a window that's been well managed or not. But I think if we can go and get another forward player, another goal scorer, just to add to that forward line, that's certainly the main priority for me now. And obviously we'll wait and see what happens at left back in terms of Radvan. So I see comments coming in saying, how many more? I would think one more to add to the squad, and then maybe a replacement one in terms of Radvan as well. But a midfielder has come out of nowhere, very much left field, no pun intended. So I think we can see that Rangers are also working to their own plans, and if deals like this come up, it's good to see that they're in a position to go and make the most of these opportunities.
Yeah, a few interesting points coming in. This is one that I totally agree with Thomas here. He says, our midfield has been all free transfers for years. This is exactly what's needed. A bit of investment in the midfield area. Good point, Thomas. And Ross Nielsen comments in, morning Ross, spending that fee on this kid tells me we're not going to be spending anywhere near that on a Shankland. So there you go. That's his view on it, and you can't do that is kindly donated to the channel. Thank you very much, buddy. It's very much appreciated. Just going slightly deviating from incomings. He says Lammers playing well as a 9 for Utrecht. Thoughts? Seen him setting up a goal at the weekend against PSV, Chris. He did well in his opening game against Vitesse as well. The Utrecht fans were waxing lyrical and saying, sign this guy. Oh, please do in the summer. That would be absolutely fantastic. And please spend a lot of money on him. I predicted he would do well at Utrecht. Nowhere near the level of expectation and demands. No disrespect to them. But is him now playing in his favoured position part of the reason we're seeing an upturn in form?
I think, as you outlined there, Derek, Rangers was just too big a step, too big a club, too heavy a jersey for Sam Lammers. There's nothing surer though. Get another 6 weeks down the line, he'll score a couple of goals, and people will be saying, "Bring him back, give him a run at number 9." That's the Leeds position. I always thought there was something there. That's just the nature of the Rangers support at times. But I think I'm hoping that we have seen the last of Sam Lammers in a Rangers jersey. Certainly wish him well. It's nothing against him. I think he tried when he was here, but he's not suited to Scottish football. Suited to a Dutch game, as Craig says there. Suited to an Utrecht level rather than a Rangers level. So if he goes there and he does well in the second half of the season, ultimately that's good news for Rangers. It means we might get a bit of money back for him, which would be if we could limit our losses on him. I think that's as good as we can hope for right now.
Yeah, I have a wee bit of a soft spot for Utrecht, I've got to say. That's who produced the wonderful Michael Moles back in the day as well. So hopefully he does well there, and they spend a lot of money to sign him permanently in the summer. Some interesting points that were coming in as well. Of course, one player who is coming back to Rangers, Chris, over the weekend, we heard news that Hearts terminating the loan of Alex Lowry. And Stuart Melvin with the point here, he says, what's the news on Lowry? Is he likely to stay so Stone Cold Phil Clement can put him straight, or is he likely to be put back out on loan? It's our understanding Rangers want to send him back out on loan, Chris. Was on the Q&A show yesterday for the members on YouTube. I said he has to go out to a team in the lower leagues in England, or if not, then abroad somewhere. I think he just has to move away. I think it would aid his development much more than it would do staying at home, playing for a team in the Scottish Premiership. What's your feeling on Lowry, and does he have a Rangers future?
I think it's hard to see now if he gone to Hearts and really impressed and been a really influential player for them, scoring goals, making goals, and being a key part of a side that was playing in also European football, putting cup runs together, finishing third or so in the league. You can then say, well, he's proved himself at that level. He's then ready for the step up. I think it's quite a long way back to a Rangers starting jersey for Alec Lowry now. I do like him as a player. He's clearly a talented boy. I've seen him over the last couple of seasons. We've all seen those wee moments where you think, oh, this boy could be something really special, but it's just not. It's not been there a consistent period of time. And it'll be interesting to see, as you say, Derek, Rangers keen to put him out on loan again. That you're assuming is going to be down south. Do you then maybe get him English Championship? If he does well in the Championship, he can maybe come back into the squad. But if it's then League One level down south, do you really then learn anything? You're not proving yourself to say, I want to be the Rangers number 10 next season because I've done well in the English League One. It's two very different levels, obviously. So I don't see him going another domestic loan up here. Hearts was the best club that he could go to. He's not going to get a game for Hibs or Aberdeen. Anything other than that, again, you're not really learning that much about him. And as we've just outlined there, I think that the level of English loan will determine whether he's got a place in the Rangers squad next season. Interesting if he actually went abroad somewhere. It's not something that we see young players do that often. If he could get a move to Portugal, or could he go to Holland and maybe more kind of tactical league that might actually suit his game a bit more, and that'd be a really interesting one for him. But I personally think it's a long way back for him now. I think that Rangers jersey may just have passed him by. And you look at the level of, I think it was Michael Beale last year made the comparison with Malik Tillman, two players of similar age, similar positions, and you look at the impact that Tillman was making and has gone on to make this season, and you look at the impact that Lowry was able to make. I know he's had his problems off the field, unfortunately. He's had injury issues as well. But you just think two guys of a similar profile, but at two very different levels. So I think personally, I think it's a long way back for Alec. I would love to see him do it. It'd be great to see a youngster come through the ranks and really go and establish himself. But I think it's setting up to be a almost defining second half of the season for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Some comments come in just on Lowry. Tam Brown says, Lowry to Utrecht, they think all our players are Messi quality. Maybe we'll get on, Niels Coppin can get on the phone to them and persuade them to take Alex as well. Stephen Gillespie says, League One is a level for Lowry, in my opinion. I agree with Stephen there. And now, of course, covered Bolton as well. They sent... They had James Trafford on loan for 18 months from Man City, and in the summertime, Burnley splashed out £19 million for him. So it worked for him, it worked for Connor Bradley, who was on loan at Bolton last season, worked for Owen Beck, who was on loan at Bolton last season, although his loan never worked out well for him. Both played in that Liverpool first team, of course, now. So if it's good enough for Liverpool and Man City, it should be good enough for Rangers, and I think that is his level. He has to make it work, though, if he wants to have a Rangers future. But like you, Chris, I think his days may be numbered. James Marshall says, Kilmarnock for Lowry. Be good to work under Derek, also performing well. Who knows? But Rangers are keen to send them back out somewhere to get game time. And now I would tag Adam Devine and Leon King in the same bracket, Chris. I know the manager is, he has said he's a big fan of Leon. If he's getting upwards of, say, 5 to 10 games between now and the end of the season, then fair enough. However, if he's not, then I'd be keen to send him out. And Adam Devine doesn't seem to be getting a look in as well. Any others you'd like to see being sent out?
No, I think those two are the main ones. Devine, I'm not convinced he's going to make it at Rangers. Leon King is someone who, again, we all thought a couple of seasons ago was going to have a great Rangers career and touted with big moves down south. Like Newcastle was one of the ones that was touted at the time before he signed his new contract. I'd like to have seen Leon being given more of a game time this season, but obviously for various reasons, it's not quite worked out. You look at how Eros McCausland has come in, right place, right time, almost gets his chance, takes it, doesn't look back. Leon King, it's not gone in the same manner for him. He played a lot of football last season, but played in some fairly tough afternoons and some fairly tough evenings for Rangers. As Tam mentioned there, Lyle and McKinnon are two who have been on the fringes, and it's interesting to see how they develop over the next few months. I know Aaron Lyle's out on loan at Airdrie now. McKinnon's still in and around the first team squad. I think that move to Airdrie should be good for Lyle. McKinnon's also had a spell at Partick Thistle and is now back. So there's a number of these guys that are on the fringes that are in that bracket of trying to make that transition from academy into the first team squad. It's a very, very difficult journey to make. It's difficult to do it, and it's hard to see how these guys are going to get a consistent run of games. McCausland got his because of the situation within the squad. If you're Cole McKinnon, where do you fit in that group now? You're now looking at Rangers spending £4.5 million or so on Diomande, thinking, well, if they're spending that on him, he's going to play. You've already got a number of midfielders in that area of the pitch, so I think it's difficult for these guys to make that jump. I think loan moves heading out in the second half of the season are probably the best thing for them. And as we've outlined there, I think there's probably a handful, half a dozen or so that are in that bracket.
Yeah, I'll read you what Leon King, he was speaking yesterday, incidentally. He was at Hampden for the launch of the Tops Match Attacks launch. That's a card collection in Scottish football. He was asked about whether he's considered a loan move away. He says, to be honest, no. I've just been concentrating on myself and bettering myself in training. The manager is big on the boys who aren't playing, pushing the boys who are in training. I feel as though we're a lot closer now in terms of the boys who come into the team compared to those starting. I'm just really enjoying myself at the moment, and long may that continue. Obviously, it's difficult when a new manager comes in because you don't know what to expect. You don't know if you'll still be here. You don't know what the script is really, but he was really good with me. He was open, he was honest, and he told me he wanted me to stay and fight for my place. Last year was difficult as I had quite a lengthy time not playing games, so it was really nice to get back out there playing in front of the fans at Ibrox. Now I just need to repay the faith that the manager has shown in me by putting me back in the squads. Modern day football is about your ability to be versatile and play different positions. I've always looked to be able to play in different positions because ultimately it helps you get a game at the end of the day. So it's great that I can fill in a lot of different roles. If the manager needs me, I'll play anywhere. Every young boy just wants to play football. So if you're not, it can be difficult. I just need to keep my head down, but I'll play anywhere the manager needs me to. So there you go. Manager, a big fan of Leon King. Some questions coming in. First of all, we'll get this out of the way. Scott Mackay, who's a member now for 7 months. Thank you very much for supporting the channel, Scott. It's very much appreciated. Daily question on Shankland. Are we interested? Who knows? Rangers have been have kept their cards close to their chest with regards to players linked with the club. It's more us talking about it in videos, appears, Chris, than anything substantial, I would say. I thought it was interesting, right enough, that he missed the game against Spartans at the weekend due to illness. Nothing untoward, I don't think, but it would be available if any Rangers or any other club were to make a move. It would be able to play in that Scottish Cup. However, Shankland, for you, is it happening or not?
I'm waiting to say yes. I'm waiting to say yes or no, because I know that if I say yes or no, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be Chris Jack says yes or Chris Jack says no. I've personally, as I've said right from the start, it all depends on the fee. If Rangers somehow can get him for £2 million, I would take him all day long. I think he's a good acquisition for the squad. If it comes to £4 or £5 million, then for me, it's a no. That's not saying it is those levels. That's not saying he will or he won't. If you think at it from Hearts' point of view, why would you take 2.5 for a guy who is such an influential player, the only guy really that's scoring regular goals for you? If you look like potentially qualifying for Europe, and you think that can maybe bring in £5-6 million, why would you risk that by selling Lawrence Shankland for half that? It's not in Hearts' interest. The only way that it makes any sense for Hearts is to take a fee round about that and then try and reinvest a wee bit of it, and you then end up almost winning twice. I just don't see what's in it from Hearts now, unless Shankland wants to force the move and it becomes clear from his side that it's something he really wants to see happen. Then that perhaps changes the dynamic a wee bit for Hearts. But I know as Rangers fans, obviously thinking about it from our point of view, we want a striker, and he's a guy that can score goals. But if you think at it from the other side of it, if you're Hearts, why would you deal with Rangers at both those price brackets? There has to be a rationale behind it. So I think there's been a lot of talk about. That's why I don't think there's been a name that's been mentioned more over the course of the window. Personally, right now, as I've said since the start, it all depends on the fee. But that's not even saying that Rangers had actually. Nobody from the club has said, yes, this is actually one that we're really pursuing. This is a deal that we're really, really keen on. I think as we've outlined over the course of the window, Rangers have kept their cards close to their chest over the course of the window. It's been slightly difficult to get clear updates on a number of deals over the course of the window. But I think I don't think we've done a show over the course of this last 6 weeks or so where Shankland has not come up. I say if it suits Rangers financially, then maybe, but it has to suit Hearts financially, and I see those two positions as being too far apart for it to make sense.
Yeah, a few comments coming in just off the back of that. Jay says, we definitely the goal scorer. Amen, buddy. Absolutely, we do. And to the Cheers 56 says, Mark Hateley was 28 when we signed him. It's a very good point. I'm not classing the Lawrence Shankland in the Mark Hateley bracket, that's for sure. But it's an interesting point when people say about his age, and Rangers shouldn't be looking to acquire him. And a huge thanks to William, who's gifted 5 Rangers Review YouTube memberships. That is absolutely fantastic, William. Thank you very much for your generosity. It is great to have that. So super. There you go, folks. If you want to join the ever-growing community over on the members section of the YouTube channel, then William is very kindly gifted 5 memberships. Let's get to another point that was coming in here. Another point from yesterday, Chris, not just affecting Rangers, but the whole of the Scottish Premiership. Borough's greatest DJ says, morning all, glad to hear the winter break is to be binned next season. Good move for you?
Not if it does us out a potential January trip. Josh benefited from La Manga this year. Been lucky enough. I was in Dubai a few years ago. The Florida trip during January was a remarkable trip, and up there with one of the best trips, if not the best trip that I've been on. So if it's denying us a chance to go and experience these type of things, then it's definitely a bad thing. But I think in terms of the actual schedule, in terms of the game, I think it's probably a good thing. We've seen games called off either side. Now, throughout the last few seasons, when the break has been there, we've seen games called off either side of it, and people say, well, what's the point of the break because it's hard to pinpoint a fortnight during the Scottish winter when it's going to be bad weather, and we've seen it either side of it. So I don't think it'll be something that the fans will be that against. Players and management might think, well, we could be doing with the break, but I think if it gives them perhaps fewer congested midweeks and having to cram games in round about the other side of it, I think from a football perspective, it'll be something that a lot of people will agree on. Basically, it is doing us press boys out of a potential January jaunt, but we'll just have to suck that one up and go over it. Yeah,
absolutely. And Bob, with another point, an interesting angle as well. He says, what about the plastic pitch ban being talked about too? This is discussions about banning artificial surfaces. I don't mind them in the lower leagues, Chris, but not in the Scottish Premiership. I would do away with them, I've got to say. I get why clubs have them, but if teams like Darvel, all due respect, can have a top-class pitch, then there's no reason why clubs like Livingston and Kilmarnock can't.
No, I think we know the reasons why these clubs have them, because also don't have their own dedicated training centres. Don't have access perhaps to pitches like some other clubs do. So from a financial perspective, from the running of a club perspective, I can fully understand it, fully get it. But that doesn't mean to say that it's a good thing for the Scottish top flight. It's encouraging to see that Kelly are going to remove theirs over the next couple of seasons. Noises coming out of Livingston don't seem to suggest that they're going to do the same thing anytime soon. But I think if a ban, if you like, came in, or the SPFL or the SFA gave clubs a certain time frame to say, look, you've got 5 years to get rid of them, I don't think that would be a bad thing. And again, I don't think it's something that the majority of players, managers, fans would disagree with. It's not something that looks good for the top flight of the Scottish game.
Yeah. Right, folks. Sky Willie gets in touch. He's a bit late today. Good morning from a sunny Forteventura, guys. Just rubbing it in. Good interview last night with Casper, Derek. Very informative. That's very kind of you to say so, Willie. Go and check it out, folks. You want to learn more about Mohamed Diomande. He incidentally plays on a plastic surface with Nordsjælland, who have an Astro pitch, so should be comfortable when going to the likes at Rugby Park and the Tony Macaroni if Rangers go there before the end of the season. I'm sure they go to at least Rugby Park, whether they go to the Amon Vale, it was formerly known as, then who knows. We'll wrap up there, folks. Just for those that are members on the YouTube channel, myself and Chris will be talking about his brilliant interview with Zeb Jacobs. That was the two-part interview over the weekend, Sunday and Monday. So we'll discuss that in length. Really interesting stuff from Zeb, so we'll get stuck into that shortly after this video. Well, it is press conference day as well, so we will hear from Phil Clement a little later on this afternoon. We'll have all the fallout from that, so lots to keep your eyes peeled for. We'll hopefully learn more about Mohamed Diomande and the injury situation also, and there's plenty on the website, as I mentioned as well. Josh has done that great piece looking at Diomande in great detail to see what he will offer Rangers. Right, thanks to William again for gifting those memberships. Thanks to everyone for interacting with the show, and we'll speak to you again a little later on. Bye.